the interesting fact is that we got to number 7 with only 45 stores. And everyone above us have at least a couple of hundred stores. We will want an Indian investor to be part of the round. And so with this, we went around the entire country. We spoke to many VCs around here and family offices, and none of them were like, hey, are you joking? You can't build a two-wheeler company in India. It takes a lot of money. So we couldn't raise that capital. Late mover always has the advantage of learning from what worked and what didn't work in the industry so far. Do you want your product to exist in a press release, or do you want the product to exist on roads? Because
that was a conscious choice.
It was a very difficult first question that we asked ourselves, because there are hundreds of startups out there who will just launch products and it just exists on press release.
Welcome to Autocar Professional. This is Start to Scale, where we talk beyond headlines and talk about the real startup journeys. Today, I have with me Mr. Aravind Mani, who's the co-founder and CEO at River Mobility. He's here to talk about why building less has actually worked in favor of the company and how River plans to scale, but on its own terms. Hi.
Hi.
So it's been such an incredible journey. 5 years already. You'll be crossing 400 crores this year.
Yeah.
How did that happen? We want to know it all.
I think it started off when we raised our first couple of million in March 2021, and it's been a great journey since then. And this last month we crossed sale of close to 3,000 vehicles. We ended up as the number 7 in the EV
Pecking order, yeah.
Pecking order in terms of number of sales. Yeah. And the interesting fact is that we got to number 7 with only 45 stores, and everyone above us have at least a couple of hundred stores. Yeah. And so what really worked for us is, like you said, do less but do it well, and very structured planning of how to go about it, and very precise execution.
Sure. But take me back to day zero. How did that entrepreneurship journey start? I know it was during COVID, and Bangalore is obviously the hub where a lot of new ideas and new companies are built. Just take us back to those few days. What was it that about the industry that attracted you the most?
See, starting a two-wheeler company has been the dream of my co-founder Vipin. So he generally recruited me to help him do this, and because he's an automotive designer, he has been in automotive all his life, has been designing two-wheelers for a large Japanese corporation for close to a decade. So this is largely his brainchild, and both of us happened to be jobless during COVID time, and we got talking and we said, let's start something. And I was warm to the idea, but the one condition that I put forward was that we need to raise at least a couple of $1 million, which is around 15 crore at that point of time. Yeah. If you're not able to raise that 15 crore within the next 1 year, we will not start. But if you are able to raise that 15 crore, then we have a fair shot. Because
so that was your condition to come on board.
That was kind of, I wouldn't say my condition, it was more or less mutually agreed, because that was capital which was enough to make some reasonable milestones. Meet some reasonable milestones which will help us raise the next round of capital. Yeah. Because the first 2 million, we didn't have anything except for our resumes and a nice pitch deck, where we spoke about, hey, India is the largest power two-wheeler market, it's getting electrified rapidly, we have a different takeoff and a very differentiated product that we want to build, etc. So that was the condition. And as we would have it by March 2021, we had those $2 million in the bank. Right. And then we get started. Yeah.
So. Build a little bit about that journey, because getting funding in automotive, even that time I remember funding was drying up. We were talking about the funding winter. Yeah. It's not easy to get funding in an automotive space, especially because it's really capital intensive. So a lot of people have burned their fingers as well. Sure. So what made you decide, and what was that journey like to get that very first investment?
See, we had an extremely differentiated thought process, and we had the solid experience that Vipin brought in from a large Japanese major. So those two were really solid. And COVID did help in hindsight. So we were both sitting in our drawing rooms, sending pitch deck to investors, taking pitch calls, and their world was working online. And as we would have it, we had an Israel-based investor and a San Francisco-based investor. Both of them were showing interest, and they said, "Hey, we are happy to participate in your round, and we are happy to write that first check, but we will want an Indian investor to be part of the round." And so with this, we went around the entire country. We spoke to many VCs around here and family offices, and none of them were like, "Hey, are you joking? You can't build a two-wheeler company in India. It takes a lot of money." So we couldn't raise that capital. Then eventually we went back to both these guys and said, "Hey, both of you said you will invest if there's an Indian investor. Right now we don't have an Indian investor because in India the VCs are not used to investing in hardware tech."
Correct.
Yeah, so it is changing fast. We have other companies who are already building two-wheelers, and it will change fast, and there is a massive opportunity. So if you both agree to come on board together and take this leap of faith, we can get started. So it was our last attempt at trying it, and that worked, and they decided to give us that 2 million without even seeing us for the first time. Yeah. So then we started building, and we executed quite well. And execution happens. Good execution automatically happens because when you attempt to do less, you always tend to execute better.
Yeah. So that was always the plan, to not go too ambitious, too aggressive into it, and build small.
We are possibly the most aggressive EV company out there. We have the best momentum in the industry out there. No one has achieved what we have achieved in the last 5 years, but just we are not obviously aggressive. We don't talk about larger than life plans.
Right.
Yeah. But we have the best momentum going forward.
Right. Yeah. Since it's a new business and your first stint as an entrepreneur, and also because you were the late movers in the industry, a lot of startups and legacy players were already sort of looking at it when you were starting out. So what were some of the learnings? Because that also puts you at an advantage of learning from the players before you and then do better. So how did that help?
See, a late mover always has the advantage of learning from what worked and what didn't work in the industry so far. And there have been companies in the industry, we started in 2021, right? So by the time there are already companies that are 7 years old, 8 years old, etc. So we have enough knowledge out there, enough work has gone into the industry to understand what works, what doesn't work. The only thing that we need to bring to table was the humility to observe and understand. Rather than claiming that we know it all, we just decided to stay focused on what can we learn and what can we avoid, what mistake can we avoid.
Yeah.
And that is, I believe that is available with any company which is a late mover in any industry.
Yeah. Give us like a couple of examples to make us understand in terms of the kind of things you were avoiding, kind of things you thought that this is like a game changer and could potentially become big.
See, I think one of the first decisions that we had to make or take was, do you want your product to exist in a press release, or do you want the product to exist on roads? Because
that was a conscious choice.
It was a very difficult first question that we asked ourselves, because there are hundreds of startups out there who will just launch products and it just exists on press release, and it doesn't make a difference to anything anyway. Fundamentally, unless and until your product is on the road, you are not competing in the market. You are competing for press space.
Yeah.
So essentially, that is one hard call that we took. As a result, we decided to just work behind closed doors. We did not do any kind of press interaction until the product was ready to start production, until our factory was starting to get out of production. Yeah. So we started in March 21. We first went to the press and unveiled the product in February 2023, almost 2 years after. By the time our factory was almost nearing completion, and we told everyone that, hey, we are going to start selling in 6 months. And we sold the first vehicle in October 2023.
Yes. Yeah. There's also a very interesting story behind the name, because that obviously connects you to the segment that you're targeting, the kind of company that you envision it to, if you would want to tell our viewers as well.
Of course. So River is, as you know, very focused on utility and livelihood. And our core target market is the young educated entrepreneur in the country who depends on the two-wheeler for utilitarian purposes and livelihood. And that's
So
a
that's
very,
like
very...
a clear focus from
That's an
get-go.
absolute clear focus. We are not looking at doing anything which is outside this focus under the brand river. And rivers have been traditionally sources of livelihood for humankind.
Yeah.
Civilizations were built on rivers. And in our own small way, we want to help humankind progress. And we believe that at the lowest level, if you are able to make someone's day better, if you are able to make someone get more out of every commute, this will add up to making their life better.
Right. So it's clear focus. It's a great philosophy, so to say, and also metaphorically, like you're talking about sources of livelihood also for that product. That's the kind of vision that you have going forward. Because now, like for an entrepreneur, there are many junctures. You talk of 0 to 1, then there is scaling from there, and you are at a very pretty comfortable stage of taking it to the next level now, like you call it unlocking second and third levels. What will that entail? Because at this point, there is like an over dependence on one particular product, which is the indie. So how do you take it forward from here?
See, I think we have more or less completed the 0 to 1 and 1 to 10 journey. 0 to 1 was that the journey to sell the first scooter.
Yeah.
Now the 1 to 10 was that we have proved River as a brand and River India as a product at a reasonable scale, like 45 outlets, around 3,000 scooters being sold every month, 25,000 scooters cumulatively on the road. So the product is well proven. There are customers who love it, and all of this is done with bare minimum marketing, etc. Because the product is speaking for itself. So as a result, in this 1 to 10 journey, rather 0 to 10 journey, we have built quite strong operational backbones. Like we have a very strong product machinery, we have a strong technology machinery, we have a good supply chain and manufacturing machinery, a good distribution service machinery, and all of this needs to work in tandem to have made this happen wherever we are. So now in our 10 to 100 journey is what we are trying to embark over the next few years. Is for us to scale from 45 outlets that we have today to a 300, 350 outlets around the country, so that you have presence in every state around the country at least. And with
so
that's
like a plan for next 2 to 5 years.
Next 2 to 3 years. We don't plan for up to 5 years. Next 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
Where we want to reach a scale of around 15 to 20,000 vehicles a month.
Okay.
And we believe we'll be able to do it with Indie, maybe one more product.
Okay.
We don't believe in having multiple products do this because see, it's extremely difficult for a product company to have the first product to become your cash cow. And Indie has got the potential to do that. It can scale to that volume, and we want to give Indie the opportunity to scale to that volume.
So it's a very, very conscious call to have that kind of scale with just one product. That's again a very tough call.
Yeah, and one product and one variant.
Correct.
Yeah, so, and that's again a tough call, but it is the easier call. So if we have a couple of a decision point where there are two options, we always pick the easier, simpler option. So there is, I mean, it doesn't take too much of analysis. It just whatever is the easier, simpler option is more or less always the right option.
Yeah, but the pressures of, for example, profitability versus growth, they don't bother you because when you see your competitors getting into more products, more portfolios, how do you remain unfazed?
See, manufacturing is not a sector where you can first build scale and then you build profitability. You can't basically scale while you're losing at the gross margin level or for every vehicle you sell. If you're losing money, it's just impossible to scale in manufacturing because you'll obviously need more money. And because we are the late entrants in the space, we have limited resources. So we have to make those resources work harder.
Yeah.
And we do not really, I mean, see, every company has their own strategy. So some company, multiple variants will work, some company, multiple products will work, etc. But for us, it's a core belief that for us to have the right or ability to launch a second product should be only after your first product scales to a reasonable scale. Say, let's say 5,000 units a month. You have 50,000 scooters on the market. And that you have learned enough to launch the next product.
Yeah, that's not too far.
That's not too far for us. But I think that focus is extremely important because with limited resources, if you spread yourself too thin, then you end up not doing either right. So focus on one thing, do it right. And once you have reached a reasonable scale, say 5,000-10,000 vehicles a month, is the right time when you will be able to carry forward the learnings from this and make the second product work.
Yeah. So a very structured, calculated approach to
Absolutely.
scaling growth.
See, also that is typically what happens when you have limited resources and limited time.
Yeah.
As a late entrant, don't have enough time. We have very less amount of time and we have to build reasonable scaling.
Yeah, interesting. Also, one thing that I noticed, another very interesting point is that unlike everyone going towards tech becoming an, a differentiator, because people think that that is what Indians want, and the answers could be counterintuitive because the market is still developing.
Yeah.
You chose design as your differentiator, and you typically, like a lot of things, you've stayed away from going too techie on your bike. So how do you sort of approach that?
See, I think it's always a consumer brand is always a combination of the product and your brand, and what is the story that it talks to your customer segment, correct? And India is a huge market. There is market for more or less everything that you make as long as you're true to your DNA.
Yeah.
Our DNA is that of a design company. River is a design company. We are a design first company which is also largely coming from the DNA of my co-founder Vipin, who is a designer. So everything that we do, starting from the product design, putting the front foot pipe for the first time on a scooter, or a pannier stay for the first time on a scooter, or the largest storage for the first time in a scooter, to designing the retail experience, to the service experience, to designing our office, everything involves that hand of design that comes in.
Yeah.
And in contrast to a tech company, we start with the consumer first. We start with people. We are we focus on people. We understand what they need. We design a product to suit that particular need. So it is all fundamentally designed to certain use cases, and that is our differentiator, which is, according to me, as good as a tech differentiator.
Yeah.
Because people are able to see the benefit of it.
Correct.
Yeah.
And because of the use cases, that's what makes sense for your own audience.
Absolutely. And as a company, how do you differentiate in the market is extremely important. And that DNA is not easy to copy.
Yeah. And like you said, it was an already crowded market. So you needed one such differentiator.
Oh, absolutely. There'll be many copycat companies who will come and copy products. There'll be copycat companies who will come and copy storefronts. But at the end of the day, DNA is not something that you can copy.
Yeah, correct. So can you also talk about how did the Yamaha deal happen? Because that, again, I know you hate headlines, but that made headlines that Yamaha wanting to explore EVs has chosen you, and then the partnership has worked really well for both companies. So how is that is that like an exciting opportunity for you as well?
See, one of the reasonably good things that we did in fundraise is to ask less money and show good milestones for every round of capital we have raised. So we are 5 years old, we are going to be 5 years old, we have done 4 rounds of capital raising. The first 2 million happened in March 21 on a presentation and a couple of resumes. Then in 6 months we had the prototypes on the road. Then we showed those prototypes and said, hey, we want to put up a factory to sell them. We raised 11 million. Then the factory was getting ready, and then hey, the factory is getting ready. Now we are looking at raising another 12 million so that we can start selling these vehicles. So with that 25 million,
very step-by-step process.
And 27 months, we sold the first vehicle. So now, all this while, even investors who said no to us, we have been always keeping in touch with them. And we are really good at cold emails and try to get introduction to the right door. So Mitsui, the large Japanese trading company, is one of the investors in Yamaha globally and also in India.
Yeah.
So we've been in touch with Mitsui for a long time. So they never responded to the emails. But once I sent them an email saying that, hey, the factory is ready with the factory image. And then I got a response. They said, okay, we'll come and visit you. Then they came, saw the R&D facility. We showed them the work in progress factory, all of that. And then they said, hey, we love what we saw. We love the progress. But we already have a strategic two-wheeler partner globally, which is another Japanese company, Yamaha. We will not be able to do anything in this space without Yamaha coming on board. Let me bring Yamaha to the table if you are okay. We were like, yeah, why not, please. So, because capital was difficult because at that point of time, I think if we had not raised capital from Yamaha as a strategic investor, financial capital was tough to come by. Now that we have the financial metrics, we have revenue, we have good numbers, that financial capital is opening up slowly. So that's how Yamaha came to table, and then it took us almost a few 8 to 10 months to convert them, but that happened. Yamaha was kind of a major boost for our journey. They led a $41 million round back in 2023, and yeah.
Lovely. But then for every entrepreneur, profitability question comes in at some point. Are we at that scale where you're looking at the path to profitability, and is there a pressure there?
Of course. See, I think it's more than investor pressure. It is a pressure that every entrepreneur, every businessman has to take, that your business has to be profitable. At the end of the day, a business is meant to create value for your customers, employees, investors. Right. And if it's not profitable, it's not enough. So we are going to be profitable in the next 3 years. By the time we build a scale of 15 to 20,000 units a month, we are currently at 3,000. So it's a journey for us to get to 15 to 20,000. We will be profitable.
Okay, and IPO maybe in next 5 to 10 years?
Not really. We don't think about it. Okay. See, IPO is not an end game. Okay. The only intention is to grow River into a very large company. Today, we have a very good base to make that happen. And the only focus is to keep growing the company. IPO may happen, may not happen, but profitability will happen.
Lovely. Leave us with 3 key focus areas for 2026. What is this year going to be about? Because last year, as you said, was about adding up more stores, streamlining things a lot more. What is 2026 going to be defined by for you?
So I'll give you my structured thought process, right? So 21 to 22 was about getting the product built. 22 to 23 was about taking the product to mass production and setting up the factory, the first factory. 23 to 24 was about defining the retail network, the store formats, the service formats, making sure that every dealership is profitable. So all our dealers are profitable in 3 months' time, and that is a huge achievement, because if the dealers are not profitable, then it's a vicious cycle that you're getting into. Yeah. So 23, 24 was making dealerships profitable and was defining the format so that the dealers can invest. So 24, 25 was about basically scaling that number. Last year we added on an average around 3 stores a month. Now we have gotten to a point where we are adding around 7-8 stores a month. We will reach a scale of 4,000 vehicles. So the 3 focus areas for next year: scale the stores from 80 to 200. Take the sales from 4,000 to around 8,000 units a month by the end of the year, and scale the supply chain and manufacturing to meet, and service to meet the demand.
Nice.
Because scale is extremely challenging, and we have sweated our way out when we were making 20 bikes a day. To today we make 200 bikes a day. So when we are going from making 200 bikes a day to 500 bikes a day, that is again a steep climb that we have to unlearn and learn all over again.
Correct. But it's a great ambitious target, but is the pace of the growth of the industry keeping pace with, because we saw that a few years back, the kind of pace of growth we were seeing, that has slowed. Not the growth is happening, but the pace has sort of, it's not as we'd expected, say 5 years back. Correct. So how do you calibrate that? How is the demand? Some projections, if you could leave us with, at an industry level.
I think the market is growing, industry is growing at around 10, 20, 25% year on year. That has been the trend for the last few years. That we believe will sustain. So this year is close to around 1.5 million electric two-wheelers. Next year will be closer to 1.82 million. So we are only talking about selling out of that 2 million, around 75,000-80,000 bikes. Hardly.
Yeah. But still huge growth potential for a market like
We grew from 4,000 units in 2024-25 to almost 30,000 units in 2025-26, which is almost 5-6 times growth.
Yeah.
So next year we are attempting a 2 to 3x growth.
Yeah. So you're pretty aggressive for about the growth of the segment, as well as River's position strengthening in it.
Yeah, see, River's position strengthening in it is directly proportional to the distribution we are able to make and the service we are able to give.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our attempt is to add a store, sell 30-40 bikes from the store. We'll reach this number.
Yeah.
So it's not a complex math. Industry growing at 20-25%, we're very confident now.
Because so many players obviously grow the pie.
Absolutely. I mean, the incumbents doing really well, coming out with more products, then electrification is happening in the scooter segment. That's for sure.
Lovely. Thank you so much
Lovely.
for spending
Thank you.
time with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yes,
Thank
loved
you.
your thoughts, loved your very calibrated thought process that is obviously helping the company grow in a very calibrated manner. All the best.